like one of the biggest car brands.
So Mercedes have changed their name.
They changed it 3-4 times in the last 2 decades.
Really?
Add it up.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to Hyperfocus. Today I'm joined by Alex yet again.
Hello, hello. Nice to be here again.
It's really great to have you back again on the channel. And today we are going to be talking about something that is near and dear to our heart, and especially to Alex. This is one of the reasons that we got him into the studio, and that is naming. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive just into that and looking at the importance of naming within brand and actually running a little, I would say, kind of workshop where we start to look a little bit into how Alex in particular would create a name for a brand.
Exactly that. That's what we're going to do today.
Excellent. So without further ado, if you have seen any of our videos, you probably know Alex, but I will definitely give them the opportunity to yet again introduce himself.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Alex, brand strategist, mostly freelance, but I also have the pleasure to work with you guys, which I really enjoy. And yeah, that's how it all started. Like I started like meeting at the wall climbing, and then step by step, and all of a sudden we're working together, and now we're doing YouTube videos. Amazing trip.
Absolutely. So yeah, we met each other climbing. As I said before, if you watched any of our previous video, or the video which I'll link above, I promised that maybe one day we would do a video all about climbing. I don't know if you're too interested in that, but there is a possibility. But let's jump straight in, and I'd like to ask you why you feel that naming is actually relevant.
Well, naming has the power, like in the entire concept of design and branding, also to really catching the character of the brand, and also kicking off, like starting telling a story with the name. So naming, like every other part, is like essential to everything.
How would you actually go about starting the naming process for a brand?
I prepared a little Miro board for that. So we're gonna hop in just in a second, and I'm gonna show you how we start. So first of all, you start with the groundwork. So really digging into the market of the brand. So who are the competitors? What are we doing? What is the brand doing exactly? So what is there to know? Like everything you need to know. And for that, we start, or I like to start with a workshop, like a persona brand workshop. So I just put like a few questions here, essential questions, which I like to get an answer to in the workshop with the client, like what is the character of the brand, what is the positioning of the brand, who are the competitors. But for the entire brand workshop part, we're gonna do, I think, another video for that.
Okay, excellent.
So why does this brand exist? Like those are very important questions to really grab a persona and build a character of the brand. And from that on, we're gonna go to the what I call theme fields.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see here, I prepared a little bit. They're like, first you have the persona. So you know a little bit of the character, where it comes from, where you want to go, where the journey is going to take you. So then you start thinking about theme fields, which would be very interesting to engage and try out. So you don't start writing names right away, because it's easy to get lost on the way, because you can like write so many. So I like to have like a matrix or a system where I follow. That's where the theme fields come in handy. Then from there on, I prepared here something. As you can see, you have characteristics you can use, like the brand Oatly did, because it's made of oat, or Hyperfocus, for example, because you guys really want to tell, like, the Hyperfocus is very important characteristic of your brand. Also, you can use acronyms, which are things you can use, like UPS, Adidas, that stands for something. That's like letters are used as standing for something. You can use locations like Olympus did, or you can use just first names. So you see, you really can go and find many fields where you could look for a name which really catches the character. Right here, which is very common and easy way, and also a good field often used, is gods, Greek gods or other gods. So I prepared that one for you. And then you can, like, Nike did it, Venus did it, Hermes did it, and also like the chocolate bar Mars did it. So as you see,
cool, interesting.
It's super easy and super quick to find. What you have, why also team fields are good, because you already have the foundation to start telling a story.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where, like, that's the first part. That's what I do in the first step by myself. Then I go to the client. Then we have a little feedback round about that. Of course, you have many, many more fields you can discuss about. And then you sort out, okay, where do you want to put your focus? Where you think is the strongest way to pull your story and can tell the story.
So that leads me actually quite nicely onto the next question, which will be, how do you actually decide what is a good name?
Coming from that, when you decided on the fields, then the real work starts. You jump into the naming process, make a bunch of lists, write names, like more than that, probably 100, a couple of 100 names. And then you start sorting, like, what is the story? For here, for example, the names we picked earlier, you have here, then you would say, you would type in the name and then say the heritage. Mars is the god of war. The client has to decide if the god of war is a good thing to be for a chocolate.
Obviously, there was some decision maker who agreed with that one.
Exactly, but for instance, Hermes, for example, is the messengers of the god. So he was the one running around telling what the gods had to tell. So for someone who's delivering packages, it's a nice story. It's not. It doesn't have to be obvious in the beginning what you want to tell, because that's what branding is doing. Like, you tell the stories in the entire branding universe you're building. So Venus, the goddess of love, like for a female product, makes totally sense. So you write the heritage as a foundation for the story you want to tell, and then you get everyone in there. You have a voting tool, and then everyone can pick their favorite name and say, like, no, I like this one and this one. So everyone is doing. So that's where everyone can vote. So you decide on that. So this is then, in the best case scenario, you have a short list. If you don't, you're just gonna repeat this part again till you say, like, you have a couple of good names you really think are worth looking for. And now, like, this very also technical part starts, where you then have to think about, like, do your homework. Like, is it available? Does it mean, maybe it does mean something bad in a different language? So you always have to check this one. For one bad example for doing naming is like Citroen. came out with a car, called it MR2,
Okay.
which in the first sight it's like, yeah, why not? And then someone that found out is like, if you write MR2 and you pronounce it French, it means merde.
Merde. Yeah.
Merde. So all of a sudden, like, oh shit, that was like a bummer. So there's always something like you really have to check what it can mean in different languages. And also, which is obvious, first, of course, Google it, see if anyone else, maybe different fields, is very big business name. And also if the URL is available. Because that's sometimes like you find a nice catchy name and then you don't get the address.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, like you make a veto if someone just doesn't like it because it reminds them of the name of his
Dog.
their dog. Like there's so many things why a name.
Yeah, so it's the word association, right?
So also like referring to a question, is it how do you decide if it's a good name? That's also very important. Like you can't say what is a good name, like only the client can say it because he is the brand, he knows the brand, he is all that he can say. The only thing is this is a strong name. That's what you can say. This is a strong you can vote in it, and then everyone can agree on that. Because like a good name, it's just too much of taste. So this is like a quick step to how I run through the process.
Okay, my next question actually would be, so I'm a brand, I already have a name. Is it actually smart for me to take that step, or should I even think about it to change my name? Is that actually a good thing?
Yeah, like how everyone would say, like, no, you don't do that, you can't do it. But there are actually some big companies who did it, and you didn't recognize this because, once again, it's all coming from the branding. So you don't have just the name, you have the logo, you have the colors, you have like so many parts which pay into the entire brand. So in my example, you have Mercedes, like one of the biggest car brands.
So Mercedes have changed their name.
They changed it 3-4 times in the last 2 decades.
Really?
Yeah, they have. Like the only thing they didn't change is the star, because the star was the iconic brand element.
But they changed the name.
But they changed the name. They called first they called Mercedes-Benz, then they were called Daimler-Benz, then they changed I think to just Benz. So they changed the name.
Crazy.
And no one noticed because it grew, and because you had this brand element, to stick it all together, the story was still the same.
All right, that is absolutely crazy. I would never ever have imagined. I never even realized that Mercedes have changed their name so often. And if you guys know of any brands that have changed their name, get them written in the comments below. And Alex and I. Sorry, man. Alex and I will jump into the comments and start a conversation with you guys. All right, man. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was super educational. I hope you guys have learned something today on the channel. I know I have. Yeah, some great insights. And as Alex mentioned earlier in the video, this is definitely not the last one. We have a lot of videos planned. Yeah, so I would just like to take the time quickly, just say thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure, as always. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you liked it. It really, really helps us to grow the channel and continue to create content like this for you. And until the next time, we'll see you.